My boss sent me an email saying I was inappropriate and unprofessional. We were at work at a big luncheon, and he came over and started bothering me, trying to crack jokes when I was busy. I just turned around and looked at him like he was stupid. Unfortunately, there was a whole table of nurses looking, and then they started laughing at him. They must have thought that he was trying to hit on me and got rejected. After they laughed at him, he went to the lobby and sat with his arms crossed like a brat. Then he sent me an email the next day talking about I was unprofessional and inappropriate. I put in a complaint with the director, and then the director brought in HR. The HR lady said, "Do you think you could have handled the situation differently? Spoken to him in a different manner?" I said, "I didn't even say anything to him. You had a negative expression on your face." Before my coworker had died, she told me, "Never delete your boss's text messages." So I found some of his old text messages, screenshot them, and sent them to the HR lady. His text messages were nasty, like, "I recall telling you this, and our priority is that." Like, I don't know. Then other people started complaining about him. When people would ask him to mediate problems, he would say, "Work it out amongst yourselves." Like, what is he getting paid a six-figure salary for? He didn't want to mediate problems. People get these jobs and they don't want to put their name on decisions. Anyway, he was fired eventually. I went to Walmart with my aunt today, and she drove. It's never too late to learn something new. I thought I would keep my job at this hospital forever, but I only lasted 6 weeks. I wanted to do something for the black community. I wanted to really make a difference. There were 5 people in my department. My boss, her lieutenant, Lisa, me, the editor, the secretary named Sherry, and our graphic designer named Malik. Sherry told me she was quitting as soon as her 90-day probation period was up and she could get a good review to find another job. I did 4 newsletters. They all had different deadlines, and everything in it needed to get approvals. Everything was always a rush. Everything was always crazy. The graphic designer Malik told me they always want everything, quote, yesterday, unquote. "Why is everything so crazy around here?" I said. "You'll get used to it," Malik said. "You'll get used to being abused." Okay, so we had this big event coming up. It was a black tie fundraiser. It was at a big hotel in downtown D.C., and the Pointer Sisters were going to perform for free. I was taking photos. Lisa kept giving me her input on how I was taking the photos. And then the big boss, she kept getting on my nerves, telling me to go around and pose people for the professional photographer. It was a very long night, but we didn't get any time off the next day. My boss told me to come into her office. She said she was getting feedback that I moved slow. I told her I come in early and I leave late, trying to get all these newsletters done. Then she tried to be relatable. She asked me for feedback. I told her she should stop calling Malik lazy behind his back because he's not lazy. 3 days later, we had a big health fair that's always covered by the local news station. At the health fair, we had a booth that we had to put up. After the health fair was over, we were dismantling the exhibit booth. Her female lieutenant, Lisa, told me, "Hurry it up." I responded by yelling on Lisa's face, "Get off my back." Our secretary, Sherry, started laughing very hard. But then she calmed down and everybody went back to work as if nobody said nothing to anybody. The next day, my boss called me into her office. She said she got feedback that I was not greeting people at our booth at the health fair. I said if she wanted me to greet people, why did she tell me to bring my editing to the health fair? How am I going to edit and also greet people at the same time? Then she flipped things around and she tried to be relatable. She said when she first came to D.C. from down south, everybody told her she talked slow, so she had to learn to talk faster. I didn't care, and I told her that no one likes to be ridden like a horse. I immediately, after leaving her office, went down to the graphic design office and replayed the entire scenario for Malik. He was pissed that they would say he was lazy. I asked my husband, should I quit? He said, you can quit, but we still have bills to pay. I couldn't sleep very well that night, but I got up very early in the morning. I drove to the hospital and got there before 7 a.m., before anybody got in. I taped a letter of resignation to my boss's office door. Dear boss, I am resigning from this position as of today. Attached is the information about the home buying fair, the Pastor Brown interview. I did request a strategic plan, but no one got back to me. I asked Mr. King about taking his photo, but he didn't get back to me. The fashion show photos are in the cafeteria tray under my desk. The shots that employees want are noted with yellow stickies with their names and extension numbers. I only worked for the hospital for a month and a half. I should have stayed longer. It would look good on my resume. But I couldn't take it. I was starting to not care. And you can't have a job like that and not care. I got a job working at this advertising agency called Earl Palmer Brown. My boss was a nice guy. He used to buy me lunch, but he used to listen to a lot of right-wing radio. One day he started going on and on about black men. They abandoned their families. What he had forgotten is 4 months prior to that, he told me about his childhood and struggling financially after his white father had abandoned his family. So I asked him, didn't you tell me your father abandoned you? Oh, you remembered that, he said. Yeah, I said, I did.